Good morning, friends. Welcome back to Astrology Today and Tarot. My name is Mel Rose. I'm here to share some astrology and tarot with you. Here we are at March 14, 2023. It's a Tuesday, which is ruled by Mars, and the sun is in its third decan, or its third 10-day portion here in the land of Pisces. Here it is with Saturn in Pisces, Mercury in Pisces, Neptune in Pisces. Neptune is Pisces' modern ruling planet, so that vibe of dream, of idealization, of a sort of unreality, fantasy, even illusion is pretty bold for us at this time. And I would just want to say really quickly that in in the astrology, Mars has this challenging aspect with Neptune right now that can feel a little bit like you're wading in water, or trying to swim through pudding or something that will really slow you down. So if you find you're not making progress, try a different approach, or worst comes to worst, try just backing off and doing what you can on your own and not trying to rely so much on your social sphere, your work, social, and civic sphere, especially today and tomorrow, because tomorrow that work, social, and civic sphere is going to meet up with that dream, fantasy, and that could be a really good fortune vibe. It really depends on your attitude and your take on what things happen, what kind of things happen, but it's also going to just make that sense of unreality more difficult for driven Mars, your personal sense of drive and initiative in the world. So with that said, the Ten of Cups is a card that sits on the side of the page. It corresponds here with this final 10 days, the final decan of the sun's transit here in the land of Pisces. Pisces is a water sign. Cups in Tarot are water element symbolism. That's about how we feel emotionally, intuitively, in our bodies, the connections we feel, our relationships to other people, our love for other people. And so we come to the Ten of Cups and we see this sort of ultimate fulfilling of ultimate, like, emotional fulfillment is what I'll say. And that's, you've got a sort of a happy couple there, and a couple of children playing, a house on the hill, river running by, a blue sky, rainbow in the sky, right? Complete satisfaction, but not just satisfaction, fulfillment, knowing, which is like knowing that you got here, but also knowing that you can stay here, knowing that you are supported, upheld, protected, surrounded by love and good intention, and having all that good energy on your side, really being able to share it with other people in a way that inspires them to seek that ultimate emotional fulfillment as well. So that's the Ten of Cups. It is the end of the Cups journey. So from here, you either level up to the Page of Cups, which would be sort of, getting more into your intuitive capacities, listening more to your intuition, maybe paying more attention to your dreams, or you could just start over and do another emotional journey. Maybe, bring another person into your life, or just make another sort of move in your life that puts you in an ever more supported and fulfilling place. So the Ten of Cups is there, and I just want to go ahead and shuffle these cards very quickly before I choose one from you and for you. And what I'll do is I'll shuffle them a couple of times, and then I'll just squeeze one out of the middle of the deck here. Well, not squeeze it, pull it, Ooh, we got the Emperor. That's one of my favorite cards. Look at this guy. Doesn't he look powerful? And, there's sort of a calm demeanor here, but that looks like a calm demeanor that you don't want to test too far, right? The Emperor is a person who has really become the master of their domain, and that, that is like everything they can see belongs to them ultimately, right? So the Emperor is a person who has ultimate power, ultimate mastery of power, and that's mastery of, all four of the elements of the watery emotions, the fiery sense of initiative and drive, the sword-like, intellect, and our use of thoughts, words, and plans. And then what do we have left? The who am I missing? The Pentacles, of course. And the Pentacles represent Earth. So, you know, that's mastery of the material realm of using resources to build value for yourself. This is a person who's made all the choices that they had to make, sometimes making hard choices, having to cut things out, having to let things go that they would not like to let go, so that they can have this ultimate sense of personal security and stability, right? And being ultimately empowered to have things the way you want them in your life. I love that vibration for today. The Emperor, to me, well, and in, you know, in Tarot, really relates back to Mars, as Mars is the ruler of the sign Aries, and that you can see the sort of sideways little ram's heads here on the Emperor that indicate the sign Aries. So this is about power, it's about drive, it's about initiative, but it's also about good decision making, right? It's really about, you know, calculation and knowing, you know, being able to do the cost benefit analysis and whatever it is that you're trying to achieve, right? Whatever it is that you're trying to achieve, you have to do this cost benefit analysis. You have to let some stuff go, and you have to expend, you have to invest, and then you have to create and build and direct and sit with your projects and sit with the things that you're trying to create until they come to their culmination, right? This is the person who has all of that staying power. And you know, there are some times in our lives where we get to feel like the Emperor, and there are other times in our lives where we get to feel a little bit more like the Fool, right? Or we can feel like the Star, even, like starting over, like having felt as though we were the Emperor, then having things fall apart, or having felt as though we had that ultimate sense of emotional fulfillment, and then having things fall apart, and then having to start over. That would be the Star. But the Emperor is like, you know, this is an indication of ultimately what our power is in the world, and ultimately what we can ideally do for ourselves in the world, in terms of just having the foresight and having the drive, having the vision, having the sense of connection, and literally just the plan and the willpower to get things done, right? So I very much see the Emperor on the page in the Mars square Neptune. This is an Emperor right now who is facing some challenges, right? In terms of, you know, idealization or fantasy, and this might not be this person's own. This might not be your own idealization or fantasy. It could be somebody else's, or it could be the collective idealization of something that you don't see as being, you know, progressive, or you don't see as being, you know, helpful, right, in achieving our collective goals. So, you know, with that in mind, here sits the Emperor thinking, okay, so this is the fantasy that everybody's operating, or this is the illusion that we're all operating under. You know, what's the plan going forward? How do we take action to get people to do things a different way? How do we take action to show a different way, or just to build things in the direction we want them to go, you know, regardless of what other people's illusions might be. So that's, you know, that is the pondering, and that is the sort of loneliness of being in that situation too. We're all going to experience this a little bit, like wanting to make progress, wanting to get things done, and having to deal with illusions, whether they're our own or other people's. We're gonna have to deal with illusions. We're gonna have to go ahead and look forward and figure out what we can do to make the kind of progress that we can make on our own at this time, okay? And then when we can't make progress, we back off, we contemplate, we reconsider, we look at the world, and we say, okay, this is what I can do right now. All right, and then the Emperor and the Ten of Cups together, I mean, wowzers, what a beautiful reading, right? that, it would seem to be like, we have ultimate power and responsibility, and because we've taken ultimate power and responsibility, we can also have this emotional fulfillment. That's not always the case when it comes to the Emperor. The Emperor doesn't necessarily see themselves as somebody who can have complete emotional fulfillment and also get done the things they want to do in the world. The Emperor is a very driven person, right? Mars is actually trying to Saturn again, which it was for a long time last year before and after Mars went retrograde, and now Mars and Saturn are both direct again, and they are trying again. So this is a great time for getting things done. It's a great time for working, but we may have to do some work on our own. And that doesn't necessarily mean work on ourselves, although it can be. It's work on our own to make the progress we want to see for ourselves in our world, right? The Emperor looks around and sees the potential in all things and says, okay, we're going to put these elements together like this, and that's how it's going to happen, right? Sort of a higher expression even of the Magician. They're very close to one another in the Tarot, and that's for a reason. The Magician sort of takes initiative with their power. The Emperor has more experience using their power and their initiative, and so they can create bigger plans, right? So maybe it is that we found this level of emotional contentment or emotional fulfillment, right, where we feel that support and that love and that that protection, that we know that we will always be supported and loved and protected under these circumstances, and having come to that place, now we can really start to make bigger plans for ourselves, right? Having secured this level of support for ourselves, now we are empowered to become a little more like a warrior, or a little bit more like somebody who makes progress, whether they have to do it on their own or command other people to do it. Yeah. Wow. So there is a certain level of emotional contentment that, that if you feel supported and you feel protected, of course you feel powerful enough to go out and create the world as you'd like to see it. So I think the message here is really not to rest on that sense of support and protection and commitment, but to use it as a place from which we can take command of other parts of our lives. All right, friends, I think that's all I have to say about it. Thank you so much for joining me today. Truly appreciate your presence here. My name is Mel Rose. I'll see you all back here tomorrow, perhaps, for more Astrology Today and Tarot.